Number 5, choice of action based on an interview with Michael Albert on September 22nd, 2001. Let's assume, for the sake of discussion, that bin Laden was behind the events. We're talking about 9/11 here. We're talking about 9/11 here. If so, what reason might he have had? It certainly can't help poor and disempowered people anywhere, much less Palestinians. So what is his aim if he planned the action? Chomsky, one has to be cautious about this. According to Robert Fisk, who has interviewed bin Laden repeatedly and at length, Osama bin Laden shares the anger felt throughout the region at the U.S. military presence in Saudi Arabia, support for atrocities against Palestinians, along with U.S.-led devastation of Iraqi civilian society. That feeling of anger is shared by rich and poor and across the political and other spectrums. Many who know the conditions well are also dubious about bin Laden's capacity to plan that incredibly sophisticated operation from a cave somewhere in Afghanistan, but that his network was involved is highly plausible, and that he is an inspiration for them also. These are decentralized, non-hierarchic structures, probably with quite limited communication links among them. It's entirely possible that bin Laden's telling the truth when he says he didn't know about the operation. So decentralized, non-hierarchic structures. So these are non-state actors, right? But it's possible that bin Laden didn't know about it. He knew about it. Chomsky's wrong. Chomsky is wrong. And let's see. What else is Chomsky wrong about? We'll read a couple more passages. I'm going to speak some and then read a little bit. Okay, so there's two big things that I like about this book. When, I read it, it was number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list right after 9/11 had happened. This motherfucker's been doing talks about politics forever and ever since, like Vietnam and shit. So it was awesome that he fit 9/11 exactly into the historical context. Since 1812, the United States, the homeland, the 50 states, hasn't been attacked since, the War of 1812. So that's amazing. Even Pearl Harbor wouldn't attack on, the mainland. I guess it's the 50 states, but not the national territory at the time because it was just a damn colony. A military base, but a colony. So the U.S. homeland hasn't got, hit very much. How come? I think the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans. The War of 1812 was fucking British, and it's called the War of 1812 because, it was pretty much that fucking boring. What are you doing? Oh, we're just gonna, we're gonna get some respect. We're gonna go, steal Canada from the Britons, but no, Canadians like the Britons like Canada and shit, so turns out we were just a bunch of warmongering fucking assholes, and then when it was all said and done, we just went back to the, status quo antebellum. So he fits 9/11 perfectly into the historical context. And then it said, he says exactly who and what bin Laden is. Bin Laden was not a state actor. He's this independent terrorist, who's basically created by the CIA, the blowback, of the CIA, Mujahideen, and the Afghanistan-Russia war and all that. Here's page 111. It's worth recalling that Bush's unilateralism was an extension of standard practice. In 1993, Clinton informed the UN that the U.S. will, as before, act multilaterally when possible, but unilaterally when necessary, and proceeded to do so. The position was reiterated by UN Ambassador Madeleine Albright, and in 1999 by Secretary of Defense William Cohen, who declared that the U.S. is committed to unilateral use of military power to defend vital interests, which include ensuring uninhibited access to key markets, energy supplies, and strategic resources. Like the oil-rich region of Iraq, of Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, and indeed anything that Washington might determine to be within its own jurisdiction. But it is true that Bush went beyond, causing considerable anxiety among allies. The current need to form a coalition may attenuate the rhetoric, but is unlikely to change the policies. Members of the coalition are expected to be silent and obedient supporters, not participants. The U.S. explicitly reserves to itself the right to act as it chooses and is carefully avoiding any meaningful recourse to international institutions as required by law. There are gestures to the contrary, but they lack any credibility, though governments will presumably accept them. The Palestinians are unlikely to gain anything. On the contrary, the terrorist attack of September 11th was a crushing blow to them, as they and Israel recognize immediately. The horrifying atrocities of September 11th, let's see. So it fits the historical context. It says exactly who the hell bin Laden is. It's saying that Chomsky had the best up-to-date information. So basically he had the moral clarity of what was going on, and he was able to say, okay, here's what I see. Here's what I understand what the hell's going on. He's part of the university. He has access to all this fucking material and shit. Let's just read the very beginning. Number 1, not since the War of 1812, based on an interview with Il Manifesto in Italy, September 19th, 2001. So this is just 8 days after September 11th. The fall of the Berlin Wall. The fall of the Berlin Wall was an event of great importance and did change the geopolitical scene, but not in the ways usually assumed, in my opinion. I've tried to explain my reasons elsewhere. Won't go into it now. The horrifying atrocities of September 11th are something quite new in world affairs, not in their scale and character, but in the target. For the United States, this is the first time since the War of 1812 that the national territory has been under attack or even threatened. Many commentators have brought up a Pearl Harbor analogy, but that's misleading. On December 7th, 1941, military bases in 2 U.S. colonies were attacked, not the national territory, which was never threatened. The U.S. preferred to call Hawaii a territory, but it was in effect a colony. During the past several hundred years, the U.S. annihilated the indigenous population. Millions of people, conquered half of Mexico. In fact, the territories of indigenous peoples, but that's another matter, intervened violently in the surrounding region, conquered Hawaii and the Philippines, killing hundreds of thousands of Filipinos, and in the past century particularly extended its resort to force throughout much of the world. The number of victims is colossal. For the first time, the guns have been directed the other way. That is a dramatic change. The same is true even more dramatically of Europe. Europe has suffered murderous destruction, but from internal wars. Meanwhile, European powers conquered much of the world with extreme brutality. With the rarest of exceptions, they were not under attack by their foreign victims. England was not attacked by India, nor Belgium by the Congo, nor Italy by Ethiopia, nor France by Algeria, also not regarded by France as a colony. It is not surprising, therefore, that Europe should be utterly shocked by the terrorist crimes of September 11th. Again, not because of the scale, regrettably. Exactly what this portends, no one can guess, but that it is something strikingly new is quite clear. So, fucking genius, man. Just fucking smart shit. It's fun and cool to criticize America, right? It's cool and it's hip and it's edgy to criticize America. Look at this. And it's, the Carter administration. Listen to all this smart talk. I don't know if he's an America is bad kind of liberal, but that's a bad, kind of person to be. America's bad. America's good. America's as good as the liberals push for. Evil is dictated by the good. The oppressor can only get away with that which the oppressed are willing to take. And the liberals, if America is bad, it's because the liberals have no spine. If America is bad, it's because the liberals have no dick. Anything else? Daniel Greensburg, he talks about how in America we have a freedom culture versus an authoritarian culture. So that's interesting. I'm for freedom. Well, I'm for authoritarianism. Huh. And I'm for equal opportunity when it comes to economics and, political equality, motherfucker. That's what the fuck I'm for, you motherfucker. You can't just talk, you motherfucker. There's got to be a pretense of action, you motherfucker. There's got to be a sense of justice. You want peace? How can you have peace without a sense of justice, motherfucker? I don't know why It's just a good book. Just a good book. You should check it out. Go read it.